Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com, and I want to do a quick look back at something I've been doing some research on. So I've been looking for a better formula for MLB sports betting. So one of the things that I have running in the background, and I'm going to implement it on the cheat sheet today for June 11th once I build it. So this is the Vegas numbers, this is the Vegas win percentage, this is the true line, but Vegas, they always juice it and add a bunch of stuff. So this calculation roughly kind of gets us there of what Vegas usually is. And then this is our cheat lines over here. I've made a few tweaks to it in the background that I've kind of been watching. And so what we're looking at are win percentage differences. And then this is what the true cheat line is. And then this is what we think it would be with the same calculation over here. So what we're doing is we're focusing on this number over here, this edge percentage. So the positive is going to be the best edge plays. And so one of the things I was reading, it had a guy where he was doing a rough calculation. He used some different numbers than I did, and like 1%, 1 to 3% was 1 unit, 4 to 6% was 2 units, etc., etc. So I want to go through these and see, using these lines, what the edges would have done for us yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was profitable, but I want to go ahead and check them out. So I'm going to walk through these with you on the video so you can kind of get a rough tutorial of what we're looking at. So these are the games yesterday. Let me make sure you can see that on your screen. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start up top. And I'm going to walk through these games and see what it looks like. And again, this is just something we were testing that we're going to kind of roll out. So Chicago, New York. We're going to look right here so you can see the Cubs were a plus 7% advantage. So the bet would have been plus 170, plus 160. This number's not exact, but it would have been to take the money there. We faded it because it was a huge money line. And we can see over here the Yankees won 2-1. So it was a close game. Plus 170 probably was the best play there, given how close the game was and the odds. And the Cubs out-hit them 9-6. So that was very interesting to me. Let's go down to the second game. We'll try to make this a quicker video. So Arizona, Philadelphia, right here we have a 3% advantage. It would have pointed us to Philadelphia. Vegas had a 53% win percentage. We had it at 56. So the plus 3 would make that minus 143 on the Phillies. And you were getting around minus 125, 126 with Vegas. And you can see here they won 7-5, which they had that game with ease. So that would have gave us a unit. So right now we would be 1-1, just missing a plus 170. Going down to the third game here, we're going to look. This is going to give us a plus 5% advantage on Washington. That's always scary. So they were plus 140. We had them at about plus 115. And Washington actually won that game 11-5. So plus 140, that would have been plus 1.4 units. So that would have made us 2-1 plus about 1.4, 1.3 units somewhere in there. So the plus 5 was good on that game. Let's flip down here to Oakland. So a 1%, I don't know if that's enough to make a play or not, but something to take a look at. But it had a 1% advantage to Oakland. Cleveland was one of my favorite plays yesterday, but also that's one that we took the run line on because it was plus 125 and we did lose. Vegas had Oakland at plus 140. We had them about plus 136, so a slight advantage. Looking at this, Vegas had them at a 44% chance to win. We had them at 45, so that's how we calculate the 1% advantage. So you might look at 1 or 2 and say, hey, that's not enough to make a bet, but definitely if it's 3 or more, I think that's something we're going to take a look at. And then I know, so here, Cleveland won, but it was a close game. It was 3-2, and actually Oakland was winning 2-1 for quite a while because I was sweating that game because I had Tristan McKenzie in fantasy. So plus 140 in a one-run game, I'm going to say that's probably the right bet there. Toronto run line was one of my favorite plays. 59-59. You're usually not going to get really high win percentages. It's hard to get that much of a gap with two professional players, but this one would have been 0%, so the model wouldn't have pointed it anywhere. But if you dig in and done the research, you'd have been all over Toronto, and we went over that yesterday. That was one of our released plays. Here, not enough information for Pitt, Atlanta. Flipping over here to Texas, 0%, so 52-52, so no change there. Vegas pegged that one pretty good. KC, Baltimore. KC pitcher didn't have a lot of stats, so that's not going to come up. So over here we got Minnesota at a 3% advantage. So it looks like 3% is kind of where we're going to start playing. Vegas had them about -120. We had them at -135. 52 to 55% win advantage. So the 3% would point us to Minnesota. And then that was, where did they go? The Twins won 9-4. So that one turned out good. That would have been a win. And then we need to figure out if there's a certain win percentage where we can go drop down and take the run line. Now this one was interesting. So our dog play of the day yesterday was Miami plus 135, I think it was. 130, 140, somewhere in that ballpark. And you can see here, Vegas had them at a 45% win percentage. We have them at 57. So I didn't have this on the sheet yesterday, but Miami's one of the dog plays that we released just by looking at the numbers. So here you could have seen plus 132. And now we have a 12% difference. This is the largest one. So this would have been kind of a red flag, a game to take a look at. So this kicks out a Miami minus 150. Now, there's never a scenario where Houston's going to be that big of a home dog to Miami, but it's just saying, hey, there's an edge there. Take the plus 132 on Miami. And then Miami did win that game 7-4, and they were leading almost the entire game. So that was our dog play of the day, but that 12% was kind of interesting to see that pop up this morning when I went back and ran the numbers. Here, Cincinnati, St. Louis. I love St. Louis. I hate Cincinnati, but this would have pointed at a 5% advantage for Cincinnati to take plus 127. So I like how it's pointing us in some dog areas. Over here we had St. Louis won 2-0, 6 hits to 4 hits. So it was a close game. So this actually spit out something. 127 would have been the best play. So we're getting a lot of dogs that are plus money. So we could have a big day really easy. Flipping around here, 3% advantage over to the Mets. Vegas has them at 52. We would have them at 55. And they won. McGill came off the DL on 3 yesterday. And they won 7-3. So that was pretty interesting. So they were minus 120. We have them about minus 138. So 3% advantage, 52 to 55. Play would have been on the Mets. They were on my list. I just didn't have any more room on the sheet. And I didn't bet them because I didn't want to bet too many games. And then here, a 6% on Colorado. This is one I would immediately disagree with. San Diego run line was one of our big plays yesterday, and they absolutely rolled. It was 9-0, which they had an ace on the mound, which down here you can see Musgrove, 1.64 ERA, allowing a 197 average, solid stats at home, good bullpen behind him, and then Cool, mediocre stats. His ERA and xFIP's a little different, which this weights a little bit more on the xFIP. Terrible bullpen behind him. As far as last 10 power rankings, 25 versus 4. This is one that would say, hey, play Colorado. But Colorado's the one team where they have a huge home road discrepancy. And just looking at the stats, this is one I would throw out the window. So I'm not saying if it's like 3% or greater, absolutely bet it. But I'm saying that's a game you should look at and do some research on. So if you flip through and see some 0, 1% plays, I'd probably throw those out, say, hey, it's not worth it. But if you get in that 3% and up, look at those for a possible play, do some research on it. And usually this model's not, if Vegas has them at a 60% win percent, this model's never going to kick it over 60. You're not going to get something that's that far skewed. So we're going to really look at games that are closer in nature. And then, let's see, flip over here. Boston, Seattle, 2% Boston. They were plus 118 when it originally opened. They moved all the way out to minus 110. We had that as a play and won. And they won 4-3. We won 4 of our 6 plays yesterday. The only 2 we lost were over in the Kansas City game by a half a run. And so that was brutal with all the stranded runners. And then we had Cleveland minus 1.5, and they won by 1. And then Boston was one of our plays. And so we had a 2% advantage here. Vegas had them at 48. We had them at 51%. So almost a 3% bump there. And then the last game of the night, Dodgers, San Fran. We had a 3% advantage on San Francisco. And so on this, 46-49. And then we're getting plus 130, plus 129, 125, somewhere around there. And actually, I just saw the Giants actually won that game. I was watching a movie, so I didn't see the end of that. So plus 130, we got a couple dogs in here that won, so that's not too bad. So I'm going to implement this on the cheat sheet today, and so let's look at these percentages and track it over this next week and let that point you in the direction of some games, and let's see how that goes. Good luck, guys.